Hi and welcome back. A lot of you guys asked me whether you should get the Spark or you should get the Mavic. Today I'm going to show you the core differences of the two, and I'm giving you advice which is the best suiting for your need. Oh, and before we get into all the droning, don't forget to check out all my other content and go to my homepage and check out all the written articles I have there, eddie-bear.com. And if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So let's get to it. First off, let's talk about dimension. If you're traveling a lot, you have to carry all the stuff around. So weight is one of the key components when it comes to considering which one of those two you should get. The controller of the Mavic is throwing 319 grams in the ring. The Mavic itself weighs around 759 grams. That's a total of 1079 grams. So if you carry around additional batteries, which I guess you will, it will even get more heavy, so consider that if you're going for the Mavic. On the other hand, the Spark is a pretty lightweight compared to the Mavic. As I told you in the unboxing, the controller of the Spark felt way lighter than the one from the Mavic, and I was right. The controller of the Spark only weighs 275 grams. That's about 45 grams less to carry around. When it comes to the Spark, it only weighs 306 grams. That's not even half of the Mavic. So in total, if you carry around the Spark with you, you only come up to 582 grams. That's almost nothing. If it comes to weight, the Spark definitely wins this challenge. Even with the additional batteries of the Spark, it's way lighter than the Mavic. When it comes to dimensions, you also should consider the physical dimension of the drone. The Mavic reaches about 52 centimeters in diameter. That's huge. The Spark, on the other hand, only reaches 27 centimeters. That's almost nothing compared to the Mavic. But if you fold the Mavic won't take as much space as the Spark does. So this is something you have to consider if it comes to packing space. Even if you consider the prop guards of the Spark, it's still smaller than the Mavic unfolded. So considering the dimensions of the two drones, the Mavic is definitely a drone that you want to use outside or in wide open spaces. With the Spark, on the other hand, if you use the prop guards, you can use it indoors. If you don't want the mat blender on the floor of your living room, you will definitely don't want to use the Mavic indoors. Also, to me, the Spark seems a bit more stable when it comes to hovering. The Mavic always drifts a bit left to right, so I guess it's more safe to use the Spark indoors if you have to. I'm not a big fan of using drones indoors anymore because of this. Now let's talk about the brains of the drone. Sure, the Spark has more smart features with the quick shots and everything, but the Spark is focusing on a completely different kind of user. Since the Mavic is bigger than the Spark, it also needs more object avoidance intelligence. The Spark does not have that amount of intelligence object avoidance like the Mavic does. So if you take a look at the menu of both drones, you have both obstacle avoidance and it can go backwards while it is tracking you. What only the Mavic can do is
the obstacle avoidance in tap fly and in active track. So that means if the Mavic is tracking you actively while you're running around or driving around, it will automatically avoid any obstacles that are coming its way. Also, the Mavic is able to compare the ground it took off from, and it will compare it to the one it's going to land on. So with this, it will be more precise when it's returning home. The Spark, on the other hand, is unfortunately missing those nifty features.
Out of experience, if you use the return to home feature of the Mavic almost hits the same spot where it took off. Also, a key component when it comes to deciding which one to go with is the picture quality.
Since there is no way to let both fly the same waypoints, let's build something to make the footage more comparable.
With this contraption, I am able to give you a side-by-side comparison of the both pictures, and I'm also going to show you how the picture stabilization is affecting the picture of both drones. Because the Mavic here has a 3-axis gimbal. On the other hand, the Spark only has a 2-axis gimbal. So when it comes to movement, both drones can stabilize this direction and also this direction. But what only the Mavic can do is to compensate for a sideways movement while flying. So let's see where we can see it in the footage.
This is the raw unedited footage of both drones. The Mavic was going with 4K and the Spark with full HD. The exposure settings were set to auto and the picture style was set to normal. Here is a good example on how the third axis is affecting the footage. So as I'm turning sideways, on the Mavic picture it looks like the picture moves slower, but actually this is how it stabilizes the picture. If you compare the 4K footage from the Mavic to the full HD footage from the Spark, you will see that the full HD footage is surprisingly good. The colors of the Spark are really good, but the contrast is not as good as the one from the Mavic. So if I take a scene where I'm just walking forward, you will notice that the stabilization of the Mavic is way smoother than the one from the Spark. This is caused by the third axis.
So now you've seen how the stabilization is affecting the picture, but another very important thing is resolution. The core difference of the two drones is the footage quality and the resolution in it. When it comes to video, the Spark is doing 1980 to 1080. The Mavic on the other hand is doing 4K, that means 4069 times 2160. When we are talking about pictures, the Spark is doing 1440 times 1080. So that means you don't get a full HD resolution picture. Why they did it, I don't know. The Mavic on the other hand is doing, with a 16:9 format, 3992 times 2242. A weird resolution, but the picture quality is great. You're also able to do a 4:3 scale, so then you end up with a 4000 to 3000 resolution. So with all the tech stuff, what does that mean to you? So the Spark is your choice if you're not too much into tech and you don't want to get in all the details and you don't want to fiddle around with all the camera settings, because with the Spark you don't have too much camera settings in there. So basically you can snap some cool pictures and you can take some really cool looking videos with the Spark, but you won't get out that amount of quality that you would get out of the Mavic. So if you're not focused on resolution and you don't want to edit your footage in post, the Mavic is definitely a cool drone for you, and it's half the price of the Mavic. Also, the Spark is unbeatable when it comes to packing light. And since the Spark is not focusing on too much range, you won't need that amount of intelligent obstacle avoidance that the Mavic has. With the Mavic you can go out up to 7.5 kilometers. With the Spark and the controller you can go up to 2.5 kilometers, but on the other hand I wouldn't recommend that with the Spark because the battery time will definitely be an issue there. And since we're talking about flight time, the estimated flight time with the Spark is about 18 minutes, while on the other hand with the Mavic you get up to 28 minutes, and with both drones this is under optimal circumstances. So if you had a lot of wind or you're going into sport mode, you will definitely not have that amount of flight time. If you want to edit your footage in post, the Mavic will be definitely your choice, because the Mavic gives you a D-Log, so a flat picture style, and it also gives you raw pictures. The Spark does only give you JPEG and that's it, so no more options there. And if you take a look at the resolutions, the picture quality on the Mavic will also be always better than on the Spark. Personally, I think if DJI would have gone with a 4K resolution for the Spark, it kinda could have killed the Mavic. So I guess that's one of the reasons why they decided to only go full HD. When it comes to maneuverability, also the Spark is more agile than the Mavic. You just have considered the dimensions of the Spark compared to the Mavic. So sure, the Mavic can go faster, it can go up to 75 kilometers, but the Spark only has to brake for half of the weight of the Mavic. So that makes definitely more agility when it comes to flying. The controls on both drones are really reactive, so that means that you don't have any input lag or whatsoever, at least none you would be aware about. My conclusion at the end: if you want to pack light, and you don't care too much about resolutions, the Spark will be definitely your pick and you will have a lot of fun with it. If you're going to take a more serious approach, you will definitely go for the Mavic because you have more options. You can edit your footage way better than on the Spark and you have the raw material to go with. Also, you will have more flexibility when it comes to range and in creative solutions. Okay, so what do you think? Which one will be your choice? Tell me in the comments below. And if you have questions to one of those twos, also don't hesitate to ask me. I will help you wherever I can. So I hope today's review was helpful for you guys. And if you liked today's episode, hit the thumbs up button to help me to create more awesome content like today. And a quick preview for the next episode. I have some really cool third-party apps that I'm going to show you in the next episode. So I'm hoping to see you guys next time.